We will start with a lecture. We are starting with drug proving. That is aphorism number 105 to 145. In this, up till now, we covered the aphorisms 136. In this, we divided drug proving into different parts. In this first part is 105 to 110. It is regarding the pathogenetic effect of a drug, that is drug proving. Then aphorism number 111 to 120, it is regarding the primary and secondary action of drug. Then aphorism number 121 and 122, it is regarding the to ascertain the dose of a medicine. Then aphorism number 123, it is regarding the methods of preparation of drugs. Then aphorism number 124 to 127, it is regarding the precautionary measures to be taken during proving experiments. What should be the precautionary measures to be taken during proving experiments? Aphorism number 124 to 127. Then aphorism number 128 to 132, it is regarding how to conduct the drug proving. The next part is aphorism number 133 to 136, it is regarding when medicines can be considered to be have thoroughly proved. So we studied these aphorisms 133 to 136 in previous lecture. Now the next part is 137, related to the relative merits of employing large and moderate doses of medicine in proving, and next part is 138 to 144. It is regarding the methods of conducting drug proving, and last part is 143 to 145, that is building of materia medica pura. So these are the different parts of drug proving, in which drug proving is divided. In this, first we will read the revise the aphorism number 128 to 136, and then we will start today's aphorism, that is 137. So what is given in aphorism number 128? It is regarding the, that is the most recent observations have shown that the medicinal substances, when taken in their crude state by the experimenter for the purpose of their testing peculiar effects, do not exhibit nearly the full amount of the powers that lie hidden in them, which they do when they are taken for the some object in high dilutions potentized by proper triturations and succussions. So in 128 they explain about, that is prove the medicine only in dynamic form. That is, we have to prove the medicine in dynamic form, and what should be the dose of that medicine. That is, most recent and advanced observation shows that the drug substances, when for proving purpose is administered in crude form, does not give idea about full amount of signs and symptoms. Many of the properties of a drug remain in the dormant or a hidden form. So drug to be proved should be in the dynamic form. Those medicinal substances which are weak in their crude form, dynamic properties can be aroused into activity by dynamization. So the medicine should be proved in a dynamic form, as in crude form it does not show the all its properties. The properties are remain in a dormant or a hidden stage. And while taking such substances or medicines, that is, such proving substance should be given to the prover on an empty stomach daily from 4 to 6 very small globules of the 13th potency of such a substance, moistened with little water and thoroughly mixed, and should be continued for few days. So this is explaining in aphorism number 128. Then in 129 we studied about the small dose. In this, effect of drug depends upon the inherent capability of a drug and the capability of a person to react with external stimuli. That we call it as a susceptibility. Although with the help of theoretical idea, we can have only guess and no 100% idea about two factors. So drug substance in dynamic form should be in low potency and gradually ascends the potency. That is, we do not know actually which potency act on which prover. For this reason, we have to start with a small dose and we have to increase the potency day by day. So this is explaining in aphorism number 129. In 130, they explain about the how the repetition of dose is done and how to record the study of duration of action of a drug. In that case, they explain about in order to ascertain the order of successions of symptoms, repetition of medicine should be stopped as soon as the first symptom have been appeared, because if second dose is administered, it acts curatively, means when we give the medicine for proving purpose, in that case when prover gets first symptom, that is first symptom appeared in prover, at that time we have to stop the medicine, means we have to stop the medicine, because if we give the second dose is administered, it acts curatively, as it may act as curatively and we do not get the symptoms of that drug, and removes the effect of first dose and develops opposite state. Such symptoms should be closed in bracket. So in order to record the symptoms, when first symptom appeared, we have to stop that medicines for the proving purpose. Then in order to study duration of action of a drug, stop repetition as soon as the first symptom appeared and record the symptom till standstill, and in that case you have to stop the medicine when first symptom appeared, and you have to study the duration of action of that medicine when medicine is started and when the symptom is appeared. This may be the study of duration of action of that medicine. Then in aphorism number 131, they explain about the increasing the dose of same drug, means if the physician has to study more about that medicine, he has to increase the dose of that medicine. That is, after recording the drug symptoms while proving, after study of duration of action of drug, if physician wants to study something else than this, same medicine should be given to same prover with increasing potency. The potency of the drug, means he has to increase the potency of that medicine and study the effect. But in such cases, difficulty may come, as in such trials we are unable to study serial order of symptoms of a drug. Most of the times second dose eradicates the effect of first one, and repeated for several successive days in increasing potency. So this may be the difficulty may come when he increase the potency of that same medicines. Then in 132 we studied about, that is, what is with weak drugs or weak medicinal substances, how the drug proving is done, and in this, after dynamizing such weak medicinal substances, they should be given for several days with increasing dose. In that case, we have to increase the dose of that medicinal substances, and these medicine must be given for several days. So this is explaining in aphorism number 132. Drug proving of weak medicinal substances, in that case they should be given for several days with increasing dose to study the effect of that medicine. So these are the group of aphorisms related to how to conduct the drug proving, that is aphorism number 128 to 132. Then next group of aphorisms, that is 133 to 136. These are related to the when a medicines can be considered to have been thoroughly proved. That is, when we consider medicine should be thoroughly proved. This explaining in aphorism number 133 to 136. And in this aphorism we studied as in 133 we studied, that is nothing, noting the sensations and their modalities. In that case, when we record the symptoms, we have to record their sensations and their modalities. In this they gave the different examples of modalities also in aphorism number 133. Along with this we have to complete the symptoms which we record, that is writing of each and every symptom as a complete symptom. These are the main theme of aphorism number 133. That is, we have to note the sensations and their modalities, and in this we have to complete the symptom, means writing of each and every symptom as a complete symptom. And in this they explain as a, in order to form a portrait of medicine, each and every symptom should be written as a complete symptom. Means when we record the symptoms, it must be recorded as a complete symptom. And you all know that what is mean by complete symptom. Complete symptom means a symptom which having location, sensation, modalities, concomitant, duration, and onset of duration, all these things. And this symptom must be a complete symptom. In this they give the different uh, examples of modalities, like when the various symptoms having various positions it lasts, whether by moving the part, by walking in the room or open air, what should be the aggravation and what should be the amelioration of different conditions. It may be by standing, sitting or lying down, the symptom is increased, diminished or removed, whether it returns in again assuming the position in which it was first observed, or whether it is altered by eating or drinking or by any other condition, or by speaking, coughing or any other action of the body, at what time of the day or night it usually occurs in the most marked manner. So this is explaining in aphorism number 133, that is noting the sensations, their modality, and you have to write the each symptom in a complete form. Then in 134 we studied as each prover respond differently to a drug, individuality of prover. And in this, that is proving of a drug on a group of people. In this they also explain as, that is all the symptoms peculiar to medicines do not appear in one person, nor all at once, nor in the same experiment, but some occur in one person chiefly at one time, others again during second or third trial. In another person, some other symptoms appear, but in such a manner that probably some of the phenomena are observed in such fourth, eighth, or the tenth person, which had already appeared in the second, sixth, or the ninth person, and so forth. Moreover, they may not be recur at the same hour. For this reason, you have to prove or do the experiment on a number of people and not on a one or two individual or a single individual. That is, all medicinal substance deranges the state of health of a man in a peculiar manner, but can't record all the symptom of a drug only by proving the drug on person. For getting the idea about the picture of a drug as a whole, drug should be proved on a group of healthy individuals and not on a single individuals. That is, proving must be done on a number of people and not on a single individuals. That is the recording of symptoms explaining in aphorism number 134. Then in 135 they explain about when is a drug called medicine. That is when we called drug as a medicine, and in that case when we do the confirmatory reproving of that drug we called it as a medicine. In that case, the whole picture of a drug in respect to a morbid signs and symptom is only properly sketched by a number of observations of same drug substance in dynamic form in suitable persons of both sexes and both constitutions. And in this, we came to the conclusion regarding signs and symptoms of a drug if they are confirmed by further trials. So, proving drug on a number of people, this is the recording of that drug symptom, but after recording of their symptoms we have to do the reproving of that drug, and when we do the reproving of that drug on a number of people of both sexes and different constitution, then we will confirm that this drug can produce this type of symptoms, and for this reason these are the drug at that time we called them as a medicine. So the medicine, that is drug proving, must be a confirmatory reproving of that drug, that is confirmation of recorded symptom of a drug, that is explaining in aphorism number 135. So in these aphorisms 134, 135 and 136, these are the recording, then confirmatory reproving, and in 136 they explain about the verification of symptoms. So when we classified or give the grading to the symptoms, the most important symptoms are the symptoms which are having recordings, recording, confirmatory reproving, and which are verified on the sick. So these are the most important symptoms, that is first grade symptom. The symptoms which are having confirmatory reproving, these are second grade symptoms, and symptoms which are having only recording, these are the third grade symptoms. So this is on the basis of these aphorisms, that is aphorism number 134, 135 and 136, that is proving, reproving and verification. So these are the most important aphorisms regarding the grading of the symptoms. That is, the medicine is having proving record, medicine having a reproving record, and medicine having a that is verification on a sick that record. So this is aphorism number 135. Then in 136 they explain about in whom can all the symptoms of a drug be observed if possible, or all the symptoms of a drug cannot be noted on one person. And in this they explain as all the symptoms of a drug can't be recorded as well as verified only on one person, although have a tendency to do the same. Those symptoms of a drug which are recorded and confirmed when given to the sick by matching the symptom of a drug, the natural disease symptoms, and when symptoms of a natural disease gets removed, this is the verification of the confirmed symptom of a drug. So in 135 we do the reproving of that drug symptoms, and in 136 we have to do the verification of that symptoms. And how to verify these symptoms? We have to prescribe these drug on a sick individuals by the symptom similarity, and when the natural disease of that person gets eradicated, means our medicine act on that sick person, and in this way we can verify these drugs or the effect of these drugs. So we call it as a verification of the confirmed symptom of drugs. So this is explaining in aphorism number 136, that is verification of the confirmed symptom of the drug. So these are the group of aphorisms that are related to the how the medicines act, or medicines can be considered to have been thoroughly proved. So this is group of aphorisms, that is 133 to 136. So all of you understand any difficulty regarding these aphorisms? Yes, anyone having any difficulty? Okay, so we will start with today's aphorism, that is aphorism number 137. In this first I will read the aphorism 137. The more moderate, within certain limits, the doses of the medicine used for such experiments are provided with endeavor to facilitate the observation by the selection of a person who is lover of truth, temperate in all respect of delicate feelings, and who can direct the most minute attention to his sensations, so much the more distinctly are the primary effects developed, and only these which are most worth knowing occur without any admixture of secondary effects or reaction of the vital force. When, however, excessively large doses are used, there occur at the same time not only a number of secondary effects among the symptoms, but the primary effects also come on in such hurried confusion and with such that nothing can be accurately observed, let alone the danger at attending them, which no one who has any regard for his fellow creatures and who looks on the meanest of mankind as his brother will deem as indifferent manner. So in this they explaining about the disadvantages of large doses of medicine in proving, that is, what are the disadvantages of large doses of medicine in proving and what are the advantages of prov- proving in a moderate doses. So this aphorism is related to there occur at the same time not only a number of secondary effects among the symptoms, the primary effects also come in such hurried confusion and with such impetuosity that nothing can be accurately observed. And third effect is that poisoning of a prover, let alone the danger attending them, which no one who has any regard for these fellow creatures and who looks on the meanest of mankind as his brother will deem an indifferent manner. So these are the different disadvantages of proving a medicine in a large doses. So in this, what is the first disadvantage? A danger of a poisoning the prover and the threatening his life. That is, if we give the medicine in a large doses, it may create a poisoning the prover and the life of a prover may come in a danger. The second disadvantages is that appearance of a primary effect is buried confusion with such violence that nothing can be accurately observed. That is, when we give the medicine in large doses, it the primary effects of a buried in confusion, that is, we cannot see the primary effects of a drug, that is with such a violence that nothing can be accurately observed, means in that case we cannot study the primary effects of a drug and appearance of a secondary effects and they are getting mixed up with the primary effects. So third disadvantage is that the appearance of the secondary effects and they are getting mixed up with the primary effects, means we cannot record all the primary effects and secondary effects. The primary effects may buried confusion, that is may create some violence, and in that case we cannot note the primary effects also, and we cannot there is the appearance of secondary effects and they may be mixed with the secondary effects. So actually we cannot note down the effects of that medicines when we give the medicine in a large doses. And secondly, the advantages of employing the moderate doses of medicine in proving. What is the advantage of employing a moderate doses of medicine in proving? In that case, appearance of only primary effects without any admixture of a secondary effects, means when we give the medicine in large doses there is an admixture of primary and secondary effect of drugs and it may be a dangers to the life of a prover also. So these are the main disadvantages of proving the medicine in large doses, and we cannot record any symptom or any effect of that medicine on the prover. But when we give the medicine in a moderate doses, in that case, appearance of only primary effects without any admixture of secondary effect of drug. So this is explaining in aphorism number 137, and along with this they also explain the character of a prover, that is dose of a drug for proving purpose should be moderate, and the prover should be lover of truth, it should be a temperate, it having a delicate feeling and attentive observer. Along with this comparison of large and moderate doses, they also explain the characters of the provers. In this they explain the prover should be lover of truth, he should be a temperate person, that is he should not lose his temperate, then he having a delicate feeling, and he must be an attentive observer. If such a dose and prover is there, most minutely primary action is recorded, and if the prover is having these qualities, the dose and the prover most minutely primary action is recorded. In this way we can record the primary action of that medicine very well. But too large dose of the drug while proving gives many of the secondary actions and alternating actions which are unable to discriminate, and ultimately for proving purpose moderate doses of drugs should be used, and for this reason we are using only the moderate doses of medicines for proving experiment, and we do not use the large doses of medicine, as when we give the large doses of medicine it may get admixture of both the primary and secondary effect of drugs, and we cannot record any symptoms of that drug, and sometimes it may create a life threatening event to the prover. To avoid these all things we have to prescribe the medicines for proving purpose in only a moderate doses, and along with giving the moderate dose of medicines, the prover must have these qualities, that is he must be a lover of truth, he must be a temperate person, he having a delicate feeling, and he must be an attentive observer. Then and then only we can record each and every symptom minutely, and we can minutely record the primary action of that drug. So this is explaining in aphorism number 137. So this is the second next part of drug proving, that is what should be the disadvantages of large doses and advantages of moderate doses. Then we shift towards the next group of aphorisms or the next part of a drug proving, that is aphorism number 138 to 141. That is 138 to 141, and in this they explaining about the method of conducting a drug proving. What should be the method of conducting a drug proving? In 128 to 132 it is how to conduct the drug proving. Then 133 to 136 it is regarding the medicines can be considered to have been thoroughly proved. Then 137, what are the disadvantages of large doses? Now the next part is 138 to 144. It is regarding the method of conducting a drug proving. In this we will see first aphorism number 138. What is explaining in aphorism number 138? That is, what if during proving there develops a phenomena which existed previously? So first I will read the aphorism number 138. That is, all the sufferings, accidents and changes of the health of the experimenter during the action of a medicine, provided the above conditions essential to a good and the pure experiments are compiled with, which slowly derived from this medicine and must be regarded and registers as belonging peculiarly to this medicine as symptoms of this medicine, even though the experimenter had observed a considerable time previously the spontaneous occurrence of similar phenomena in himself. The reappearance of these during the trial of the medicine only shows that this individual is by virtue of his peculiar constitution particularly disposed to have such symptoms excited in him. In this case, they are the effects of the medicine. The symptoms do not arise spontaneously, while the medicine that has been taken in exercising an influence over the health of the whole system. So, what is system but are produced by the medicine? So, what is explaining in these aphorisms that is relating to the alteration in health during drug proving? What should be the different alterations in health during drug proving? And in this, they explain as changes in state of health while drug proving should be kept on account of a drug. All the deviations in the state of health of a prover while proving should be considered only because of the effect of drug. If while reproving the symptoms above enlisted reappears is the confirmatory signs that these symptoms are the symptoms of the medicine. So, what if drug proving or during the proving there develops a phenomena which existed previously? Means in that case we have to do the reproving. That is changes in a state of health while drug proving should be kept on account of drug. That is means we give the drug to a prover and it causes a changes in a state of health of that prover. That all the deviations of the state of health of the prover while proving should be considered only because of the effect of a drugs and all the changes or a deviation in a state of health of that prover are due to the effects of that drug. That effect of drug causes the deviation in a state of health of the prover while proving is done, and if while reproving the symptoms above enlisted reappears in is the confirmatory sign that these symptoms are the symptoms of the medicine. And when we confirm that these are the symptoms of that medicine, that is if we do the reproving of that medicine and if while reproving the symptoms above enlisted reappears is the confirmatory sign that these symptoms are the symptoms of the medicine. So that we call it as a alteration in a health during the drug proving, or this is the effect of the drug that causes the deviation in a state of health of a prover while we doing the proving experiment. So this is given in aphorism number 138. Then in aphorism number 139, what is explaining that is how to enter the observation in a day book, means how to record the symptoms in a day book. That is, first we will see the aphorism. In aphorism number 139, when the physician does not make the trial of the medicine on himself but gives it to another person, the latter must note down distinctly the sensation, sufferings, accident, and changes of health he experiences at the time of their occurrence, mentioning the time after the ingestion of the drug when each symptom arouse and if it lasts long, the period of its duration. The physician looks over the report in the presence of the experimenter immediately after the experiment is concluded or if the trial lasts several. So we started with aphorism number 139. In this, when the physician does not make the trial of the medicine on himself but gives it to another person, the latter must note down distinctly the sensations, the sufferings, accidents, and the changes of the health he experiences at the time of their occurrence, mentioning the time after the ingestion of the drug when each symptom arouses, and if it lasts long, the period of its duration. The physician looks over the report in the presence of the experimenter immediately after the experiment is concluded, or if the trial lasts several days, he does this every day in order which everything is still fresh in his memory, to question him about the exact nature of every one of these circumstances, and to write down the more precise details so elicited, or to make such alterations as the experimenter may suggest. So this is regarding how to record the symptoms or how to write down the symptoms in a day book. In this case, or in this aphorism, that is how to enter the observation in a day book, this is explaining in aphorism number 139. And in this, what Dr. Hahnemann explains, that is, if the medicine for proving purpose is not taken by the physician but given to another person, means the prover is not the physician and he give the medicines to the another person, the physician should educate the prover in such a way that he can record the sensations, signs, symptoms, alterations in the health in a proper manner. That is, if the prover is not physician himself and he recorded the symptom on other prover, then he has to educate that prover regarding how to record the symptoms. In this, physician should educate the prover in such a way that he record his all sensations, signs, symptoms or alteration in a health in a proper manner. That is, what are the changes occurring in that prover, he should record that all the things. That is, it may be his sensations, sufferings, accidents or changes in health he experiences, he should record these symptoms, and physician should instruct to the prover regarding after taking drug to note, that is, the time of occurrence of symptoms and duration up to which it was there. Means, while recording the signs and symptoms, the physician should instruct to the prover as he should note down the time of occurrence of symptoms, when the symptoms occur, and duration up to which it was there. Means, what should be the duration of that symptom. He has to record each and everything that is altered in his body or in his mind also. So in this way, the physician should instruct or give the knowledge to the prover, that is how to record the signs and symptoms or how to record the changes in his body. So in this, daily physician should go through the records of the prover in his presence, so that all the alterations caused by the drug is fresh in the memory of the prover. And when the prover is not physician himself, he has to visit that prover every day and he has to record records of the prover, or he has to check the records of that prover. That is, so that all the alterations caused by the drug is in the fresh memory of the prover. Means, he has to give the daily visit to that prover. Means, these signs and symptoms are fresh in the memory of that prover, so that the symptoms can be recorded appropriately. Means, if there is missing in that symptom any while recording by the prover, the physician can complete that symptom by asking question to the prover, and he has to visit him daily, as these symptoms of drug is in fresh in the memory of the prover. So this is regarding how to record the symptoms of a drug or how to record the alterations in the prover regarding the proving experiments when the physician is not the prover himself. If the prover is another person other than the physician, he has to instruct or he has to give the knowledge to that prover regarding how to record the alteration in a state of health and how to, that is, the time of occurrence of that symptoms and duration up to which it was there regarding the recording of the symptom, and he has to give the daily visit to that prover and record each and every symptom in a complete form. So this is explaining in aphorism number 139. Then in 139 having the footnote, in this he was makes known to the medical world the results of such experiments become thereby responsible for the trustworthiness of the person experimented on and his statement, and justly so, as the weal of suffering humanity is here at stake. So in this footnote they explain about the prover which we select, it must be a trustworthy of the person experimented, means the person which we choose for the proving experiment, he must be a trustworthy and he having a faith in a medical field, and that recording of his symptoms as the wheel of suffering humanity is here at the stake, means this is regarding the suffering of the humanity. So these all things must be in a ideal way, in a trustworthy way. There must not be any confusion of symptoms, or there may be not any corruptions while doing these experiments. So this must be a very ideal way recording of the symptoms. For this reason, the person we select for the experiment, he must be a trustworthy or an ideal person. So this explaining in footnote under aphorism number 139. Then in aphorism number 140 they explain about what if the prover cannot write, that is, if the prover is illiterate, how the recording or how the day book is maintained. In that case, what Dr. Hahnemann explained in this aphorism 140, if the person cannot write, the physician must be informed by him every day of what has occurred to him and how it took place. What is noted down as authentic information must be chiefly the voluntary narrations of the person who makes the experiment, noting conjecture and as little as possible derived from answers to the leading questions should be admitted. Everything must be ascertained with the same question as I have counselled above for the investigation of the phenomena and for tracing the picture of a natural diseases. So in this aphorism 140 they explain about if the prover is illiterate, or what if the prover cannot write. If we choose the prover and if the prover is unable to write, then how to record these symptoms. And in this they explain as, that is, drug proving on the prover who are unable to write. In that case, the physician should instruct him to inform the prover that he should meet him daily. Physician records what has happened with him in a day as a whole. Importance should be given to the voluntary details told by the provers. In that case, if the prover is unable to write, in that case the prover must meet daily to the physician and he should inform his all the changes or alterations that occur in a whole day to him, that is, what should be the symptoms he appear, what should be the signs. Then the importance should be given to the voluntary details told by the prover. In that case also, what is the instructions regarding the case taking, these must be followed during this proving also, that is, you have not asked the leading questions to the patients that may give the answer in a yes or no, or these questions may be avoided, and you have to give the importance to the voluntary details. The physician must give importance to the voluntary details of the prover, and he should note down the all the things what the prover is telling. So this is regarding when the prover is unable to write, or if the prover is illiterate. In that case, the prover must meet daily to the physician and told each and every alteration in his health, and physician should give him the give importance to the voluntary details that is told by the prover. So this is explaining aphorism number 140, if the prover is illiterate. Then the last aphorism regarding this group of aphorisms, that is 141. In this they explain as a who is the best prover. The best prover is the physician himself. So what is given in this aphorism 141? The best proving of the pure effects of simple medicines are those which the healthy, unprejudiced and sensitive physician institute on himself with all caution and can here enjoyed. He knows with the greatest certainty the things he has experienced in his own person. In this also having a footnote, that is advantages of proving by physicians. In this, what should be the advantages? The morbid state he has himself experienced from them becomes for him an incontrovertible fact. By such noteworthy observations on himself, he will be brought to understand his own sensation, his mode of thinking, his dispositions, the foundation of all true wisdom, and he will be also trained to be what every physician ought to be, a good observer. Then experiences shows on the contrary that the organism of the prover becomes by these frequent attacks on his health all the more expert in repelling all external influences inimical to his frame and all artificial and natural morphic agents, and becomes more hardened to resist everything of an injurious character. By means of these moderate experiments on his own person with medicine, his health becomes more unalterable, he becomes more robust, as all experience shows. So this is aphorism number 141, and footnote under aphorism number 141, that is who is the best prover or the ideal drug prover. And in that we explain as a physician himself is a ideal prover or best prover, but the physician must having the ideal prover for proving a drug in a homeopathic physician who is the best, who having a best state of health, who is sensitive, and as per aphorism number 2, he must be an unprejudiced, because the physician can record the subjective symptoms in more accurate manner with actual sensation, modalities and concomitants. If the physician himself is a prover, but that physician must be a sensitive person, physician must be in a perfect state of health, he must be a trustworthy, he must be an unprejudiced observer. And when that person is unprejudiced, sensitive, trustworthy and in a state of healthy condition, he is the best prover, because the physician can record the subjective symptom in more accurate manner with actual sensation, modalities and concomitant, as physician can understand very well what are the changes that occur in his health, that is regarding the symptoms, and he the subjective symptoms what he feels he can record very nicely, that is sensations, what are different modalities and what are the concomitants he feels during that symptoms, he can record very well. So physician himself is the best prover or the ideal prover for the drug proving. And in this they explain the advantages of proving by physician under in the footnote under aphorism number 141. In this, first advantage is that the morbid state he has himself experienced from them becomes for him an incontrovertible fact. Means the morbid state, what he feels during the proving experiments, he can very well understand, and it becomes for him an incontrovertible fact. Then second advantage is that by such noteworthy observations on himself, he will be brought to understand his own sensations. That is, while doing his own observation, he can understand very well the sensation, his mode of thinking, and his dispositions. That is foundation of all true wisdom. So he can become a very well observer. Then he will also train to be what every physician ought to be, a good observer, as he can become a good observer while he is proving many medicine on himself. Then experience shows that on the contrary, that the organism of the prover becomes by these frequent attack on his health all the more expert in repelling all external influences inimical to frame and all artificial and natural morphic noxious agents, and becomes more hardened to resist everything of an injurious character by means of these moderate experiment on his own person with medicines. His health becomes more unalterable, he becomes more robust, as all experience shows. Means while proving a number of medicine on himself, he becomes more unalterable, he becomes more robust. Means his immunity get increased, his power get increased, and he can resist to all the disease condition. So he becomes a robust person, as experience shows that when he done a number of proving experiments, his power gets increased and he become a more robust person, and as all experience shows in the past. So these are the different advantages regarding the proving the medicine on a physician on himself. These are given in footnote under aphorism number 141. So in today's lecture we studied the aphorism number 137 to aphorism number 141. In this 137, it is a separate group of drug proving, and second group, that is 138 to 141, this is regarding the method of conducting a drug proving. So in these methods of conducting the drug proving, in this the physician may take another person on him the drug is administered. This is first point. Second, the physician may prove the medicine of himself. Such experiments are the best. Then advantages of such proving. So these are the two main points that cover in these aphorisms, that is 138 to 141, regarding the methods of conducting a drug proving. In this first point is regarding the when the physician is not a prover himself, and in second condition physician is the best prover for proving experiment. So first condition is that if the physician is not the prover, in that case what should be the instructions given by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. And second, regarding if the physician is the prover himself, in that case what are the advantages of such proving. In that case, in changes in a health experienced by the physician himself become for him an incontrovertible fact. By such self observation, the physician will himself be trained to be a good observer. So these are the different advantages we studied, and these are explaining in a footnote under aphorism number 141. So this is most important group of drug proving, that is aphorism number 138 to 141, the methods of conducting a drug proving. So all of you understand, in today's lecture we studied the two parts of a drug proving. First 137, in that we studied the employing, or what are the disadvantages of employing large doses and what are the advantages of giving moderate doses of medicine to the prover. This is one part, and second part, aphorism number 138 to 141 regarding the methods of conducting a drug proving. In that again two main points are there regarding if the physician is not prover, and secondly physician is the best prover. In that case, what are the advantages if the physician himself is the prover? So these are aphorisms of drug proving 137 to 141. Now in tomorrow's lecture, the three aphorisms are remaining, that is 142 to 145. Then we finish the drug proving, the huge topic, that is drug proving aphorism number 105 to 145. Up till now, anyone having any difficulty regarding these aphorisms? Yes, anyone having any difficulty? Yes, Yashwant?
No, ma'am.
कळतंय ना सगळ्यांना?
हाँ मैम.
आता फक्त शेवटचे 3 aphorisms राहिलेत, ते उद्या कंप्लीट करू आपण. So I hope everyone understanding what is going on in lecture, and all of you listening. So in tomorrow's lecture, I will ask question from roll number 1 to 30. Aphorism, sorry.